Ladies and gentlemen, as the Prime Minister of Propitiation Banks, I stand strongly in support of the motion. Amid the rise in food poisoning, this House believes that the Free Nutritious Program, or MBG, causes more harm than good. Before moving further, let me clarify the stance of the propositions. We are not here to argue that the children do not deserve nutrition, nor that the government's intention behind MBG inherently wrong. What we are arguing is that in the current context of increasing food poisoning cases, the latest data show that more than 11,600 cases of poisoning occurred in the MBG program on October 2025, which means the implementation of MBG gives result it's more significant harm than benefits. Instead of improving children's nutrition, the program has made schools a hotspot for illness, when a program that it's meant to protect actually endangers, that is direct harm. The governments expand MBG rapidly without, first, adequate food safety infrastructure, second, sufficient number of trained nutritionists and food handlers, third, reliable cold chain storage and transportation, and fourth, clear monitoring and accountability mechanism. This rush to scale creates high volume but low quality food distribution, inevitably leading to contamination. A program that runs faster than the system can support is a recipe for disaster, especially when dealing with the children's health.
Ladies and gentlemen, and members of the House, as an opposition member, I stand against the statement made by government about the MBG. The government claimed that food poisoning is rising due to MBG, but we believe this argument is wrong and overlook the benefit of the program. In social media, I see so many arguments about benefit the MBG. For many children and even family are helped by this program. Even China and Korea has already run this program first and have a good result. Because of that, instead of stop MBG, we must focus to improve. First, improve monitoring and system. Fix by better training and strict regulation, not by canceling the program. The second, proper food distribution, which is improved in food storage and logistic are needed. We will strong the system. The third, children health is main focus. Because if you can see that many children suffer for malnutrition because poverty rate in Indonesia. At the end of the day, children health is the priority. In conclusion, we oppose the claim that MBG does not harm that good. With the right improvement, MBG can continue to provide essential benefit to our children and society.
Madam, Mr. Speakers, and members of the House, as the Deputy Prime Minister, I would love to repeat what the opposition leader just stood here and told us. Malnutrition is a bigger risk than food poisoning. They told us that the solution to a burning building is to stay inside and try to fix the wiring because it's cold outside. And we disagree fundamentally. You cannot cure a child malnutrition by feeding them poisoned. The Free Nutritious Program, or known as MBG, is in current state has transformed from a safety net into a safety hazard. Let me direct the address the opposition's main defense. One, on the comparison of malnutrition versus food poisoning, they argue that malnutrition is the long-term enemy. We agree, but they fail to realize that food poisoning is an immediate, acute threat, because it leads children to severe dehydrations, organ failure, and even death within hours if untreated. You cannot fight the long-term war against stunting if you are losing the short-term battle for survival. Second, on the fix it then stop argument, the opposition say just improve the monitoring. Madam Speaker, this is such a wishful thinking. The Prime Minister already explained that the infrastructure, the cold chains, and the hygiene standard does not exist yet. You cannot simply whisk infrastructure into existence overnight. Continuing a massive national rollout while hoping the system catch up is negligence. Moving to my extension, we believe the MBG causes harm because it is a massive economic drain that effectively burns money at both ends. The government is spending trillions of rupiah on this program. When food arrives, spoiled because of bad logistics, that is tax money thrown in the trash. But the cost doesn't stop there. We are now spending additional state funds on emergency healthcare to treat the victims of this mass poisoning. This is the opportunity cost. That massive budget is being wasted on a logistical nightmare that makes kids sick instead of being used for a safer and proven alternative. Secondly, this program causes distinct social harm by destroying the trust between parents and the state. Schools are supposed to be a safe haven, a safe space for a child. When a parent sends their child to school and that child comes home in an ambulance because of the government meal, that trust is shattered. We are already seeing parents forbidding their children from eating school meals. We are seeing panic in local communities. When trust is broken, the program fails anyway because the food goes uneaten. Madam Speaker, the oppositions want to discuss intentions. We are discussing reality. The reality is the infrastructure is broken, the immediate health risk is little, the economic waste is astronomical, and the public trust is eroding. We are not against nutrition, but we are against a specific program that has not proven it cannot deliver nutrition safely. For the reason, we beg to propose.
Madam Mr. Speaker, honorable adjudicators, and members of the House, the proposition has stood here today painting the MBG program as a ticking time bomb, an inherently dangerous system that must be shut down immediately. But their case rests on fear, exaggeration, and a failure to recognize the systemic necessity of the program. Let me respond to it clearly. The first one, on you cannot cure malnutrition by feeding them poison. We agree, no child should be ever harmed. But the proposition's framing suggests that the entire MBG program is poison, as if every meal in every region is contaminated. This is factually inaccurate and intellectually dishonest. Food poisoning incidents occur in pockets due to localized mismanagement, not because the national program itself is flawed. Shutting down an entire nationwide nutrition program could be like failures is equivalent to banning all public transport because one bus had a flat tire. The correct response is to targeted intervention, not systemic abandonment. Second one, unfix it, don't stop it, being wishful thinking. The proposition claims that infrastructure cannot be fixed while the program continues. This is false. Many of the world's most successful public welfare programs, school lunches in Japan, India's midday meal scheme, Brazil's zero hunger program, were built through parallel reform, not by halting service until perfection magically appeared. Stopping MBG halts political momentum, disrupts supply chains, and discourages local governments from investing further. But continuing the program while enhancing monitoring forces stakeholders to stay accountable. Infrastructure does not appear overnight, but it also does not appear at all if the program is frozen. The third one, on economic costs and burning money at both ends. The proposition argues that the MBG is wasteful, but they miss a fundamental principle in public policy. Prevention is cheaper than cure itself. The cost of treating malnutrition supplement programs, repeated clinic visits, long-term cognitive delays far outweighs the temporary expenses of improving food safety. Direct cash transfers sound appealing, but evidence worldwide shows that they often fail to translate it into improved child nutrition due to non-food spending, unstable prices, and lack of dietary knowledge. The next one is on public trust. The proposition dramatically claims that the trust is shattered, that parents will not reject health programs entirely. This slippery slope argument exaggerates isolated reactions into national crisis. Trust is not restored by shutting down programs. Trust is restored by, first, transparently fixing mistakes. Second one, communicating improvements. And the last one is showing parents that the government learns and adapts. If the state stops the programs now, it signals panic and failures. If the state improves oversight and continues providing meals, it signals responsibility and resilience. In conclusion, Madam Speaker and Mr. Speaker, this debate is not about choosing between malnutrition or food poisoning.
It is about choosing between systemic abandonment or systemic improvement.
As a representative of the government, I firmly believe that the MBG or pre-nutrition meals program is a critical step towards strengthening our nation's future. In this debate, I want to emphasize that MBG is not merely a social assistance policy. It's a strategic investment in Indonesia human capital. First, MBG directly addresses chronic malnutrition and learning inequality. Too many children come to school without proper nutrition, which affect their concentration, energy levels, and academic performance. By guaranteeing free nutritious meals for our students, the government ensures that every child has an equal starting point in the classroom. This is essential for reducing educational disparity across regions. Secondly, MBG has significant long-term economic value. Healthy children grow into productive adults, and this directly impacts national productivity. The cost of the program should be viewed as a long-term investment that will reduce future healthcare expense, increase workforce quality, and support sustainable economic growth. Third, MBG also stimulate local economic by sourcing ingredients from local farmers and small suppliers. The program creates the stable demand for domestic agricultural products. This approach strengthens food supply chains, empowers rural community, and promotes regional development. In conclusion, from the government perspective, MBG is a forward-looking policy that tackles nutrition, education, health, and economic stability all at once. It is not just about feeding students, it is about building a stronger, healthier, and more competitive Indonesia for the next generation.
Madam or Mr. Speaker, honorable educators, and esteemed member of this House. The opposition has clearly shown that the MBG program is not a source of national harm, but rather a necessary system facing manageable operational gaps. We have already established that isolated food poisoning cases do not justify dismantling an entire nationwide nutrition initiative. Allow me now to extend and reinforce our case with further arguments that remain consistent with our earlier positions. First, stopping the MBG program will drastically worsen inequality. The children who rely most on school meals come from low-income families. And for many of them, MBG provides the only reliable source of balanced nutrition. Removing the program creates an immediate gap between children who can bring safe, nutrition food from home and those who cannot. Any policy that claims to do no harm cannot justify a decision that would disproportionately hurt the most vulnerable. Second, improving the program is far cheaper and faster than rebuilding it after a shutdown. Ending MBG would break supply chains, dissolve trade local terms, and discourage suppliers from maintaining quality standards. Restarting the program in the future would require far greater source. Trust is not regained by abandoning public service. It is regained through consistent delivery, transparent improvement, and clear accountability. Ending the program signal panics and instability, where fixing it signal responsibility and commitment. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable adjudicators and member of the House, as we draw this debate to a close, it is important to note and consider the most important thing regarding our debate. It's crucial to refocus on what this discussion is truly about: children's safety. Throughout this debate, the government bench has consistently shown that amid the rise in food poisoning, the Free Nutrition Program or MBG brings more harm than good, not in theory, but in its actual implementation. In my role as the government whip, I will summarize this debate from government side. First, Prime Minister has demonstrated that MBG was expanded far too quickly, without the essential foundations of food safety, no proper cold chain system, no adequate hygiene standards, and no reliable monitoring. A program designed to nourish children has instead turned schools into hotspots of contaminations. This is not accidental harm, it is systemic. Second, Deputy Prime Minister strengthened by addressing the opposition's core claim that malnutrition is a bigger long-term threat. And we agree, it is. But you cannot solve malnutrition by feeding children unsafe food. Food poisoning is immediate, acute, and potentially fatal. No long-term policy can succeed if children cannot survive the short term. Third, we're moving to the closing government's contribution. We extended the debate by highlighting deeper structural harms. MBG is not only unsafe, it's economically wasteful and socially damaging. Massive state funds are poured into food that often arrives spoiled, and even more money is spent treating the victims. Worse, it destroys public trust between parents and the state. When parents fear the food provided at school, the entire system collapses, and that distrust spreads to other essential health programs. Now, let me clearly negate the opposition. The opposition says, don't stop the program, just improve it. But improving requires infrastructure that doesn't exist yet. Continuing the program while hoping the system magically catch up is not optimism, it's negligence. Every extra day the program runs, more children are exposed to preventable harm. They also rely heavily on good intentions. But in policymaking, intentions don't outweigh outcomes, and the outcomes in the case are illness, waste, and fear. Ladies and gentlemen, this debate comes down to a simple question. Should we continue a program that actively puts children at risk? The government's answer is clear: no. Not until it can be done safely. For all these reasons, the immediate health dangers, the weak infrastructure, the economic loss, and the erosion of public trust, we are proud to stand with the propositions. Thank you.
As the opposition whip, I will demonstrate why the opposition bans win this debate. First, the government fails to prove that MBG internally cause harm. All example, the present food poisoning incident are implementation error that can be corrected through stricter hygiene protocol, better monitoring, and trained personnel. These are solvable administrative problems. Meanwhile, the harms of removing MBG are structural, long-term, and irreversible. Opening opposition clearly showed that MBG address critical nutritional inequality and support children's ability to learn and thrive. Second, our closing opposition extends its decisive dimension, the long-term development impact. The government completely ignores how essential nutrition program affect cognitive growth, educational achievement, and future economic productivity. The opposition demonstrates that stopping MBG will create generational disadvantage, particularly for vulnerable low-income students. This impact is far greater than the short-term preventable risk raised by the government. Finally, on weighing, even if we accept that some food poisoning incident occurred, these are temporary harms affecting a limited number of cases. In contrast, cancelling MBG produces nationwide lifelong harms for millions of children. The scale, severity, and duration of impact clearly favor and the opposition. A flawed but fixable system is far better than no system at all. For the reason, the opposition bans overwhelmingly win this debate. Thank you for attention.